was off, yeah.
I'm just throwing anybody in. At this point, y'all are just
Downloading,
fodder. I'm just throwing
so
y'all in. I don't.
when it's done, it should just pop the agenda packet up.
Okay.
If it doesn't, just swipe down and click on it.
Okay, thank you.
I know you miss me. You.
Good morning and welcome to the July 15th Walton County Technical Review Committee meeting. Appreciate everybody coming this morning and observing our social distancing practices, which include wearing a mask in this particular meeting. It's not going to be comfortable, but it's something that we've got to do for the benefit of all of those folks that we come in contact with. Do we have any announcements this morning beyond those requests to continue? Then we'll move right into the project review. I think we've got several requests to continue. We'll just take them in order. The first one is the Draper Lake PUD. We have a request to continue this item to the August 5th, 2020 Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location.
Motion to continue.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes, for those members dialed in by Zoom, if you can unmute yourself so we can hear you. Harley, can you hear us? And Charlene, can you hear us?
How about now?
Oh, yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Harley, are you on with us? Harley, can you hear us? Harley may be having some technical difficulties. Did we vote already? We're just waiting for them. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to hear from Harley or not. If 4 affirmative votes for the motion, this motion is carried. This item is continued to the August 5th Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. That'll move us to item number 2, Sanctuary at 331 Apartments Phase 3. We have a request to continue this item to the August 19th Technical Review Committee meeting. Could we have a motion at the dais?
Motion to continue.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the August 19 Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. That will move us to item number 3, which is the Parkside Subdivision PUD. We have a request to continue this item to August 19, 2020. to allow the parties further time to negotiate. Do we have a motion at the dais? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to August 19, 2020 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. That brings us to item number 4, which is the Chateaux Dewberr minor revision. Minor development reviewed by Stephen Schoen. Stephen, if you'll briefly introduce it for us.
Yes, good morning. This project was continued from the July 1 TRC meeting. It is a minor development application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates on behalf of 30A and 393 Capital Investments, requesting to reconfigure and adjust the lot sizes to replat and sell. Property zoning, property site is 1.84 plus or minus acres with a future land use of residential and a zoning district of neighborhood infill. Subject property is located on Chateaux Lane on the north side of Highway 30A, approximately 2.5 miles west of the intersection of Highway 30A and Highway 98, and can be identified by the parcel numbers in your staff report that you have in front of you, which I would like to enter into the record.
So moved.
Thank you. There are some outstanding comments. As a matter of fact, nothing has been resubmitted since the last TRC meeting. I'm able to answer any questions you may have, but I'd like to open it up to the applicant to discuss.
Good morning, Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. We're the project engineer on this. We have received the comments and have responded. Those will be turned in today to the planning department. There was some discussion with legal about a deed restriction that we have looked into, and I will include a response to that unwritten comment along with our TRC response.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a recommended motion?
At this point, I would actually recommend a continuance until staff can review the response, in particular to the legal questions that are looming. That's my recommendation.
To the next meeting, or?
That'd be fine. I would just ask if we could resolve that if legal agrees with our position. I guess I'd question why we need to come back to TRC.
I guess the question is, we don't really know if we can approve the 2 additional units.
Right. Understand.
And without that resolved, I don't know that we can, it'd be a good idea to move it forward. Let's continue to the next meeting, subject to resolving that issue.
Okay.
And this is a minor development, so if we've got all that stuff buttoned up, we can go straight to development order.
Okay.
We'll entertain a motion to continue to the August 5th Technical Review Committee meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the August 5th, 2020 Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. That brings us to item number 5, the Pompano Street right-of-way extension. This is a request to approve by final order. It's been reviewed by Stephen Schoen. Stephen, if you could briefly introduce it for us.
Yes, sir. This is a major development order application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates, Inc. on behalf of Inlet Beach Capital Investments LLC, requesting approval to construct a driveway for access to properties adjoining the existing 66-foot right-of-way. Subject property holds a future land use classification of residential with the zoning designation or designations of residential preservation and neighborhood infill. Subject property is identified by the parcel number in your staff report, which I would like to enter into the record, please.
Thanks, sir, and so entered.
There are some outstanding comments, some of which are minor in nature, just clarification and some additional work, including landscaping and some sidewalk information is required or requested. There are some outstanding engineering, public works comments as well. I do want to make note that this project was applied for as a minor and was upgraded to the major, just in case there's any issues with labeling or anything else as far as comments are concerned. There are some additional documents that I've included outside of the packet. They have a label of number 6. That was my mistake. They should be, of course, 5. For the record, please include them with the staff report. I can answer any additional questions you may have. If not, I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you, Stephen. Anyone else? Question for staff? Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. We've read the staff report, and some of the comments I've got a question on. A landscape plan for a roadway design, I mean, this is not a subdivision, so I guess I'm curious why we're being asked to provide a sidewalk and a landscape plan for a roadway design. Those are the only questions I have is regarding the landscape plan and a sidewalk. I guess I'm looking at, if Public Works designs a road in a right-of-way, they don't provide a landscape plan.
Typically provide a sidewalk.
Okay, I'm all right with a sidewalk.
Landscape plan, probably. Your thoughts?
So my thoughts, I wasn't exactly looking for a full-blown planting schedule or anything like that, but I did want to see, that any disturbed areas were going to be sodded or seeded or otherwise, in keeping with the code. It is essentially, a right-of-way improvement, though it's not public. I did want to see some information on what would be provided.
It's public.
Excuse me, private is what I meant to say.
Yeah, as far as stabilization, we'll point out our detail that includes stabilization of the right-of-way and retention areas. Okay.
And I think
Understood.
That's what we were looking for on that.
Okay.
The sidewalk requirement is a sidewalk requirement.
Okay. We'll go ahead and provide a sidewalk.
And recognizing that it's likely that the county is going to get sued by somebody in this particular scenario, given that we have 3 parties, probably 4 parties that may not be in agreement as to what to do about this particular easement. We certainly recognize that. We're moving forward with 2 abandonment requests from the fee owners underneath the easement. Both of those are moving forward to the BCC with recommendations from the Planning Commission for denial.
All right, understood.
And we have one party that wants to build the road in the same spot. And if we're going to build a road, there are certain requirements that we should probably address. But whether or not this road gets built this way is going to be a Board of County Commissioners' decision. Because they're being asked to abandon it by each of the parties that own the fee. We had the party at the east end of Pompano Street, or the proposed roadway here, open up a driveway across other people's property without any kind of permit from the county.
Understood. I guess it should be clarified that that was always, as I understand it, I didn't personally witness it, but it was always a pig trail, sand trail, if you will.
Big trail, sand trail, the county commission decides what the use of these public access
Sure.
easements are, not private individuals by themselves.
Understood.
That's been our historic practice in our county, and I would expect that that would be what commissioners wish to continue.
Okay.
We're going to address everybody's issue at the same meeting.
We feel that we can respond to these, the comments quickly, and upon adequate approval of those responses, we'd ask it move toward Planning Commission and Board of County Commissioners.
Stephen, I think we've laid out a schedule for these three projects to get to the BCC at the same time.
Right. So I've just been informed that, right, it's going to go to the second meeting in August, I believe, the second PC meeting, or the PC meeting in
think
August,
that's-
excuse me.
It'll go PC, it has to go PC in August and BCC at the QJ meeting, because that's when.
Right. But we've tentatively planned to take this project to the Planning Commission in the August meeting, and then take all three projects to the BCC at the QJ meeting at the end of August.
Okay.
All right, just so we get all three projects at the same meeting, and I expect they'll all get discussed as one discussion.
All right. That works fine with our schedule.
Yes, sir. Okay. Can we see who they are?
We have one in the audience.
Yes. First hand up is here live in the audience. We have other people dialed in by Zoom that wish to make comments. We'll get to you in just a moment.
So Melissa Ward with Dunlap and Shipman. Dunlap and Shipman represents Inlet Dunes Owners Association, who is on that right-of-way. Specifically, there were two comments. We appreciate, by the way, that the Planning Department has bumped this to a major so that we could have this heard before the County Commission, as well as put them all on the same agenda together so that the board can decide. One of the questions, and it's for Dean really, is why does that right-of-way improvement stop just short of Mr. Pearson's property? Why does it not go onto his property? I mean, it would appear that he would then later ask for an abandonment of the 66 feet that impacts his property so he could fully develop, which he is, by making application, denying to everybody down the street. So we would ask why he's not improving whatever remainder of right-of-way is on his property and put his turnaround or cul-de-sac or drive in there, and instead of not having that all the way down to his, since it is his, it's a public road, but it's for the use of his property. And we feel like that's a justified question to ask the county if that's not something y'all wouldn't require anyway. The other part to that was that the owners of Inlet Dunes are concerned that the opening of the full 66 feet is unnecessary, and that we understand the county regulations, and if that's a necessary requirement for it, then we would like to kind of discuss that, and we know we're going to get our opportunity at the Board of County Commissioners, so I just have to put it on the record.
Okay.
Also, as far as a landscaping plan, even though this is a public right-of-way, it is in Inlet Beach, and Inlet Beach has a plan all of its own that is for improvements and beautification. And for that purpose, I think a landscaping plan is required, or at least noted that they should at least look at whether or not they should be leaving enough vegetation. There is a significant amount of stormwater being proposed in this right-of-way, again, utilizing the full 66 feet that may not be necessary. We are not sure if it's absolutely required. I understand that you have your standards, but you're tearing out every single bit of vegetation that these people have enjoyed for 40 years. So, we're just looking at those technical issues. We haven't been able to determine if a landscape plan isn't required, because the Inlet Beach plan is a little more designed for walkability. We appreciate that you asked for a sidewalk. We certainly agree that a landscape plan might be necessary.
Thank you. I think taking a look at the Inlet Beach neighborhood plan and making sure that we are addressing any requirements in there is something we do need to address.
Thank you.
I agree. If there's a requirement for street trees or something in the Inlet Beach neighborhood plan, we'll adhere to it. We'd be happy to check into that.
Thanks, sir. Let's see, dialed in by Zoom. Don't know your name, but 8013 is the last 4 digits of your phone number. Okay, well now, okay, Cappy Kid, are you on? Can you hear us? Cappy, can you hear us? Need to unmute your Zoom or...
Okay, I can hear you.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. I am one of the property owners on this right-of-way. In fact, my family has owned Lot 146 for over 70 years when my father received it as part of the distribution to World War II GIs returning from the war. I want to point out that the requester for this right-of-way, IBCI, doesn't own any of the land. It's all other people's private property. The second thing I want to point out is that 100% of the other landowners are opposed to this right-of-way, and you'll see a petition there that is signed by 100% of the Kidd family and 100% of the Inlet Dunes condo owners. Thirdly, I want to point out that there's no need for taking this much of other people's land for a driveway to enhance a single lot, especially when the single lot has 80 feet of frontage on Highway 98 and is actually guaranteed a turnout or curb cut onto 98 if he were to request it. The owner so far has said he doesn't want to request that turnout. Those are my comments.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else dialed in by Zoom wish to make a comment on this particular item? Raise your hand in Zoom or *9 if you're dialed in by telephone. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we will move forward to recommend a motion.
Staff would recommend conditional approval, allowing, the applicant to move forward to PC, provided all outstanding comments can be satisfied, including any Inlet Beach landscaping requirements that may be applicable.
Thanks, sir.
When are our responses due in order to remain on that schedule? Monday? Okay. We can accommodate that.
We have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dais?
Mac, based on the discussions here about being a publicly maintained right-of-way road, if you will, and the Inlet Beach landscaping requirements, I feel confident in making a motion to conditionally approve subject to response to the comments.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Recognizing that the scope of this particular roadway could possibly change between now and the Board of County Commissioners' approval, conditionally move this forward to the Planning Commission in August, and then BCC on August 27, consistent with schedule for the 2 abandonment requests on the same property. We have a motion at the dais. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally moved forward, subject to satisfactory responses to comments and the schedule for the August Planning Commission, and then with that recommendation, the BCC meeting on August 27. And that moves us to item number 6, the 393 RV Park, major development reviewed by Bob Baronti. Bob, if you can briefly introduce it for us.
Yes, Mr. Chair, as you said, this is a major development order application submitted by Dunlap and Shipman on behalf of CR 393 LLC, requesting the approval to develop an RV park and associated amenities on 9.8 plus or minus acres with a future land use of industrial and extractive uses in the zoning district of light industrial. The project is located north of US Highway 98 on the west side of County Road 393 North and is identified by the parcel number in your staff report. Mr. Chair, we have outstanding comments from Dewberr and from Fire and other comments that should easily be addressed. The applicant is here to go over the project. If there's not any questions for me, I'll turn it over to the agent.
Thank you, Bob. Staff report entered into the record. Oh, I'm sorry.
Melissa Ward with Dunlap and Shipman for the applicant for the 393 RV Park. We are awaiting the Dewberr comments. We've read the other comments and feel like we can easily address them. And we would ask that, contingent upon getting those engineering reviews back to us and getting able to respond, we'd like to move it on to the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Melissa. What size RVs are we planning for? These Class A, full-size bus RVs?
Most likely, yes.
Yeah, I did review it. I can't recall the intensity of the comments that I made, but I will get those emailed to you or the engineer ASAP. I know I did this a couple weeks ago, so I don't know why you didn't receive it. Maybe there's a little mix-up there in the upload, if you will, but I'll get those to you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
And we're still looking for traffic comment also.
Yeah, traffic would be a part of that. Well, I don't know if it'll warrant, a turn lane or anything. 393 is bad as it is, and we're kind of limited in that area, and I don't know if Public Works took a look at that as far as the traffic functionality, circulation.
Operational improvements.
Public Works, we had questions about what appears to be an island and ingress and egress at the driveway. And then we also had a comment regarding the sidewalk. Public Works is proposing a project along 393 soon, and it will incorporate a sidewalk on that side of the road, but it'll be adjacent to the roadway. So we feel like maybe leave the sidewalk off for the time being. Matt, could they contribute to the sidewalk fund?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe that would be a better idea. And then, we'd like to see an auto turn analysis to make sure the driveway's functioning as, for these Class A RVs.
The auto turn analysis in the comments?
I believe it was.
It was, and the way that we've been doing it recently is that Public Works will review and provide their comments to us, and we include it all in one engineering letter. And so,
Oh, okay.
since Dewberry's didn't get uploaded for whatever purpose, Public Works will be included in that.
Okay.
The one question I see on the planning that deals with the right-of-way protection, is that going to affect that clubhouse and the location of it. That parking lot, I should say.
I don't believe so, actually, but, I mean, we'll take another look at it. I don't believe it does.
It looks awfully close.
Okay.
I don't know offhand what the protection zone width is for 393.
Well, we'll take a look at it and make sure that we identify it.
I mean, I think there's room if you needed to slide everything westerly. There's appears to be some space between sites 1 and 2 in the playground. So I think there is the ability to shift if we need to. I just wanted to make that note.
Right, right. No, it's something that we were going to look at since it's on the list.
This is a major development. It's going to get a public hearing at Board of County, or at the Planning Commission and Board of County Commissioners. Anyone in the audience or dialed in by Zoom wishing to make a comment on this particular application? Technical comment or technical question? Seeing none, we'll move to a recommended motion.
Mr. Chair, staff recommends that this project be conditionally approved pending resubmittal and then schedule it for the appropriate planning commission meeting.
Okay, we have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
I do have one question. How many spaces? I didn't see that listed.
80 on there.
80 is correct.
I think I had it in a rundown.
Yeah, 80 RV
Yeah.
pads.
80 RV.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's 80 RV pads, and then I guess the manager / warden
Check-in,
check-in place has a accommodation space above the check-in building.
Yeah, for a 24-hour attendant.
Correct.
Can it be any camp store, any kind of commercial space as part of the check-in?
There's a clubhouse, but it doesn't have like particular amenity. It has a clubhouse and a pool and stuff, but it doesn't have like a grocery store.
Okay.
And that was one of the comments, to label all the buildings and the square footage for each building and the uses.
We turned in some architectural drawings. They were hand drawings, but they were architectural drawings with square footage on them. We uploaded them.
Put them on the plan too. Plan side.
Okay.
Thank you.
And this is US 9, or 30A Scenic Corridor. Make sure we touch those bases.
Yes. Getting at 393 is the scenic corridor.
We have recommended motion.
Recommend motion to conditionally approve pending successful resubmittal and move it to the appropriate planning commission meeting.
Recommended motion. We have motion at the dais.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved to move forward to next available planning commission, subject to satisfactory resubmittal to outstanding comments. And it looks like that is the last item on our agenda this morning. Okay. I think that'll be just fine. Thank you for making that note. With that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank y'all very much.
Have a good one.
Goodbye.